We predict that payroll will have two new components in the future: cybercrimes, cybersecurity, and AI. And then there's room for us payroll professionals to grow into that. Welcome back, folks. It's episode 21 of It's About Your Paycheck. We're talking about cybercrimes today. We're going to get into a little bit of true pay crimes. But before that, how do you do, sir? How you doing, Walt?
I'm doing well, sir. Mr. Escobar, how about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Yeah, Walt still's buzzing off it. He saw Dune 2. So he said it's great. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I need to see
Excellent.
Dune 1 again. Now I want to go back and see the ones from the 80s and whatever, and then go through the whole deal.
Yeah, it's excellent, man.
No doubt, I
Excellent.
heard good things
Yeah,
about it too. That's dope.
yeah. Like one of my favorite movies has always been like The Matrix, and
Ah, okay.
I have to put it up there with that for me.
With that,
Like
oh,
that's how good
nice,
it is. Yeah, yeah,
nice. Yeah, Matrix was good. Matrix is definitely a good one.
yeah,
All right, so yeah, folks, we're talking about break up the. We always like to drop some true pay crimes into these series. It's interesting to talk about
yeah,
what folks are, what need to be like, what folks need to be aware of, right? What folks need to be um, just kind of warning, look out.
yeah.
But before we get into today's true crime, we have some pay news to share. I think Walt, you're up first.
This episode is presented by TrakGO, the simply better employee time clock software that is going to make your life easier. In addition to the unique graphical employee time card that helps you quickly identify and fix mistakes, TimeTrack Go is excited to announce it's now compatible with QuickBooks Desktop, providing effortless data transfer and reduced errors. TimeTrack Go will not only save you time and money each week, but the easy to understand user interface and the ability to turn an ordinary tablet into an employee time clock will get you and your team up and going in just minutes. Find out what a simply better solution can do for your business. To learn more and sign up for your 14-day free trial, go to www.timetrackgo.com. That's TIMETRAK go.com or call 888-321-9922. Let's go. Yeah. All right. So my article is from lattice.com and it's talking about wage compression and what you can possibly do about it. So some of you may be listening and thinking like, what the hell is wage compression? So
Yes.
wage compression occurs when new hires with less experience earn salaries similar or higher than those existing employees at the same place. So that's what wage compression is. So
Yeah.
what might some of the causes of wage compression be? Minimum wage increases. There might be a tight labor market. So it might be hard to try to find talent based on
Hmm.
the amount of money they're trying to start a person off of. So they'll give somebody who has less experience some more money just to try to entice them and bring
Yeah.
somebody. And then another one of the causes of wage compression is arbitrary compensation structures.
What does that
So that
mean,
means,
though? Oh,
let me see. So for me, I didn't define that here. I think they had a definition, but I got rid of it. So that is a type of compensation structure that can be used for positions that are difficult to fill or
ah,
urgent. So that's what it means. Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Does that help? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because that's what I was gonna just say.
Hmm.
Okay, we're talking about wage compression and it, the cause is minimum wage and tight labor market, but that's what I was gonna. The other cause is this. I didn't know what to call it, arbitrary compensation structures, but it just means
Yeah.
like if I'm hearing it, it's like someone's been there, and this is the downside of staying somewhere long without
Hmm.
actually growing through the ranks. Your
Hmm.
wage is, yeah, I guess that's why wage compression makes sense because your wage is going to stay compressed,
Yeah.
and when they bring new people in, the market has changed drastically. And this is classic. This is something that you talk about, like it happens everywhere I've ever worked because they're like, oh, they just
Yep.
brought this person in and they're making more. I actually was in a situation where I came in and the opposite was true. And my new leader had said, look, this person's been here X amount of years and she makes more than you, but
Yeah.
she's going to report to you. And I was like, no, I kind of respected the place that she was in. And I was like, as she should make more than I respected. I was fine with it because I was making more than I was like, I was fine. My salary went up, but she was already making more. And he was just kind of make sense of it. So anyway, yeah, I get it. Because sometimes, most of the times, it's the opposite where your equal comes in making more, and you're like, wait a minute, what the heck? Anywho,
Yeah.
thank you for defining that for us.
Yes, sir. All right. So some of the negative impacts of wage compression, it can
Hmm.
decrease morale. It
Yep.
can cause issues with the culture or work environment
Hmm.
at work. Which can lead to increased turnover of those experienced or tenured
Yep.
employees.
Yep.
So it'll make somebody like you or I potentially feel like, oh, geez, like you brought this youngin in and you're already starting them at the same level as me. What the
Yep.
heck? You don't
Yep.
have, and I'm not because this is classic. Like to your point, it's
Classic.
classic, right?
It's
When you
classic
when you
stuff.
have to, especially when the seasoned person or the tenured person has to train
Train
that
them.
person,
Yes.
and
Yep.
they're getting paid, and they're like, "Hey, you make as much money as me." Like,
You
learn just
should
like
you
I
should
did.
know. Yeah, you should know already.
Yeah,
No, that's
right.
no.
That's a lot. That's the position a lot of people take because
Oh,
it causes that bitterness.
yeah,
It makes the person feel bitter. Okay, this job doesn't give a damn about me.
yeah.
You know,
This is we're gonna get into pay transparency in a second.
legal challenges, and one of the last negative impacts of wage compression is potential litigation or legal challenges related to pay discrimination.
Yeah.
Again, like speaking to you, you get that person who gets riled up enough, and they're like, "Hey, I'm
Hmm.
chucking the deuces,
They think they're
and
being
I'm going to
discriminated.
sue
Yeah.
you, and I'm
Yeah.
going to sue you."
Yep.
So, what can we as employees do? You who are listening, what can you do if you're currently experiencing this? You can try to advocate for fair compensation. You can consider non-financial compensation that you may be getting, some of those
Yeah.
extra perks
Ooh, that's
that
right.
you have
Your
to think about.
PTO. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good
PTO,
one.
some of those employee discount programs, those
Sure.
different things like that your business or your company may be trying to do right now that you may not be considering. But
Yep.
the most important thing is you want to participate in dialogue or feedback. You want to have those conversations. You want to make sure that you're a part of those things. So
Yeah.
if you are currently experiencing wage compression at your company, that your company has a chance to right the ship or get those things remedied so that doesn't cause you as a tenured employee to be frustrated and want to chuck the deuces on them.
Yeah.
So what do you
Yeah.
think?
I think there's no way around it. It's tough to. It's just a part of having to. It's a downside of staying in the same position over
Hmm.
a long period of time, right? Because you can make more money
Hmm.
at a company if you're promoted and or if you move into different positions that have a different salary band. But it's one of because some folks like that, right? Some folks are fine; they can stay at the same job doing the same thing for eternity because that's for
Yeah.
them. It's not about that, right? They build their lives outside of that, right? I was recently reaching out to someone for an open position, and they were like, "Nah, I'm not trying to work more time. I want to work less time right now." And he had just had a new baby and stuff, so I understand it. He was trying to balance out his life a little bit more. So that's the only thing I could think of, really. It's the downside of staying in one position, the same position, not the same company. The downside of staying in the same position for an extended amount of time, because now if you have a counterpart that joins you, same position, that person is going to probably come in with making more money or the
So, so
same money.
So to talk more on what you're saying, so when you say
Yeah.
same position, you're saying same title. So I
Yes.
was payroll specialist then, and
Yep.
10
I'm a
years later,
payroll
I'm still
specialist now.
payroll
Yep.
specialist.
Yep.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that, right? But nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that. But that's the downside of it, because shoot, you could even see it at different companies, right? Because payroll, I'm not saying that this is a thing. I'm just comparing apples and oranges now. But if we're two payroll
Mhm.
specialists at two different companies, because payroll is often not a big department, unless you're Sarah Chastney that has 16 people on her team, but they're also in
Yeah.
different departments, right? They service 22,000 plus employees, so it's different. I don't know. Yeah, it's just this one of those downsides of being in the same title, same position for a long time. Not so much the same company, and because that could be it. It's like you found a great company. Oh my goodness, I'm comfortable. Everything is perfect. I'm not changing,
Yeah.
but that's the downs. Like you got to keep that in mind. Crap, I may not be able to just keep making more money and more. Unfortunately, like me and Walt came across a stat recently that if you don't move every few years, either in position or
Two
company,
years.
you're making like 50% less than what you should be making in your respective title or industry. That's a really dang. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
other numbers that skew and factors that play into that, but
Yes,
still,
yeah,
that's
there's
like,
probably other stuff, yeah,
yeah, but still, it's,
yeah, I think in that you have to be a high performer or somewhere that's not average, you
yeah.
know what I'm saying, like that, so that may give you more traction to leave or
Hmm.
give you more runway to leave versus, hey, you've been in that specialist role for the last 10,
Yeah.
20 years, and
Yep.
you're just like, hey, people like, and you have no urgency to want to go
Exactly.
and you're comfortable, or maybe
Yep.
I should say you're comfortable
Yep.
or whatever, and you're like, hey, this is good. It meets the need. It pays my bills. I'm comfortable. This
Hmm.
is all I want to do. I'm good with this. I
Yep.
could do this for forever.
Yeah.
So, and if that's you, like Brian said, that is okay.
It's
But
okay.
for the high
Yeah.
performer that wants to excel, wants to meet that challenge, and wants to go on to bigger things, that may not suit them.
Yeah.
I think that's what
And
you might be trying to say. Well, I
no,
don't know.
I mean, they both work.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is also what you're saying is also true. I was gonna say pay transparency comes into play here too, and this is one of the this is could be a, I don't know, a solve, but it's an offset to the adverse effect of what is it, wage compression.
yes,
Folks, this is the first time we ever heard this phrase. By the way, we know what it is because as soon as you understand the definition, is, oh my gosh, I know what it is. But that's the fancy name, wage compression. But I think pay transparency, folks, is a law sweeping the nation, state by state, where the government are forcing companies to list what the salary range is that they're hiring at for a specific position, right? So if they're hiring a
yeah,
new payroll specialist, payroll manager, payroll director, payroll VP, whatever, they have to list the range and they can't be silly about it and say, oh, 100K to 300K. No, it has to be within the actual range that you're going to pay this job. 0 to 300K is not a range. You know what I mean? It can't be ballpark. It has to be within the range you're actually going to offer for that position. So that might help to, decrease some of the saltiness of it, if every once we get to a place where pay transparency is more the norm, because it is going to become, I think my prediction is that it will become the norm state to state. Right
yeah,
now it's not
yeah,
federally regulated, it's state to state regulated. New
yeah,
York being one of those states. California, I would imagine. New York and California are like the leaders in employee centric laws, right? Meaning laws that favor us as the employee. So I think that could help, because if you're used to it and your job being posted at by your company, and oh, okay, oh wow, like, you can take the sting away because you're seeing that the job is going to be posted, and you can go address it then. Hey, why is this happening? And
yes.
then you can,
Important.
yeah, you can,
That's why that point said to participate in feedback. Have
yes.
the conversation. Be a part of the conversation.
Yes, because
Just
here
don't.
I want to be proactive about it, and I want to
Yeah.
address this episode with a little bit of offset. Where is it? I think there it's
What's up?
89, I believe it is. David
Mm,
Turetsky is episode 90 of It's About Payroll. That's our other show, folks, but I think it's really important, and I keep saying I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop it, and maybe we just need to post it on the It's About Your Paycheck one too. But
yeah.
it's about payroll, right? We do another show for payroll professionals and anybody who touches payroll, basically. And it's episode 90 with David Turetsky. He's a host of HR Data Labs, and we talked about pay transparency in that episode. And I think it's valuable for this show and our listeners on this side. It's about your paycheck. Anybody that gets a paycheck, right, in the U.S., because he talks about how maybe there's something that's very different that this other person brings to the table that you don't have yet, right? It's not a diss. It's not a,
Yes.
well, you're an idiot. And he's no, that's not what it is. But look, let's make up a scenario, right? We're two payroll specialists, but you're there for however many years. But I come in now with AI experience. I come in now with some certifications in AI, right? Or
Yes.
cybercrime, cybersecurity,
Thing.
because we predict that payroll will have two new components in the future: cybercrimes, cybersecurity, and AI. And then there's room for us payroll professionals to grow into that. So if I come to the table with that, then that might warrant why I make a little bit more than you. You know what I mean? Even though we have the same position. So but to your point, if you don't participate in that feedback, if you're not bringing those conversations to your board, look, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? And I
Yes.
wholeheartedly believe in that. Like, you have to raise your hand, you have to state your claim, you have to say stuff. What's up?
Yes, but you also have to understand that if you are the employee that is comfortable and you're just doing the bare minimum, you're doing just enough, you're not going above and beyond, and you're just satisfied getting that annual increase of 2 or 3
Yep.
percent, and you're not really
Yep.
pushing yourself,
Yep.
then you have to understand that may be the thing as well. Usually, the employees, for those of you who may be listening, that go above and beyond are a high performer, are team oriented, are willing to help out and jump into the weeds and do all
Yep.
those things.
Yep.
Those are the people that are going to excel, are going to be promoted. In most
Yep.
cases, there are some situations where those people get passed over too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But in this specific situation, if you're just sitting back and you're not being a part of the conversation, you're not applying yourself, you're not doing as much as you can, you also have to be realistic and factor that into that decision as well. Because yeah, if I've been at this job, to your point, Brian, if I've been at this job 10 years, they hire Brian to come in, who doesn't have as much experience, but Brian has all the prerequisite skill set, and they
Right.
see that in Brian, and okay, this guy, he's a go-getter, he's boom, he's
Yep.
engaged, he's willing to
Yep.
learn this and that, and they're paying us the same. That may be why, to Brian's point, because they see this and they're like, oh, when Brian gets all these skills under his belt, oh my God,
Yes. Right.
he's gonna
Right.
help us out. He's gonna change the game here for the
Exactly.
organization.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good conversation. Shoot, I think we probably need to circle back and have a whole show conversation on this. But thank you. So
Hmm.
mine is just a generality of kind of off this, talking about employee pay issues. So employee pay issues are multifaceted and impact various aspects of companies, and it impacts worker satisfaction, right? According to recent insights, employers are facing significant challenges in managing compensation and rising expectations and inflation pressures. That's all you hear, right, in the news. Oh, what do we talk about all the time? The price of groceries,
Yep,
right? Me and
bro.
Walt are foodies, right? We're foodies, so we're always talking about the price of food. We talk about what we have for lunch, how much it costs.
Bro, oh yeah, it's funny that you brought this up because I was just driving to Kroger the other day, and
Grocery.
there's a gas station that you have to pass every time, or you have to turn by, that's next
Okay.
to Kroger, bro. And like a couple of weeks ago, it was like 309, and then about a week or two ago, it was 329, and then I went there
Oof.
the other day, it's 349. I'm just like,
Dang.
yo, what's going on? Right.
Yeah. No, it's this is what it is, right? It's because how do we leverage our paychecks, right? Where do
Yeah,
we save money, and where are the places that are hurting us? And
yeah,
please know that the companies out good companies, decent companies out there are trying to find ways to get you more money, and pay transparency is one of the things that will help, because you'll get to
yeah,
see across the nation what I think. I urge people also, if you're dissatisfied with your pay rate, go on to these salary.com site type of sites, and even if you got to do 1 month or do the free trial or something like that, it's worth paying to see where how your pay rate falls across the nation, because you might see
yes,
that you're right on par, and it just
for your
is what it
area.
is for your area. Thank you for saying that. You might see, oh, okay, I'm actually making decent money according to my area, according to my job. And all these sites, you can put in your experience, you can put in your credentials. And if it doesn't do that, don't use that one, because you want to build in all those little nuances to help you
Yeah,
understand where your rate should be at. Unfortunately, as a manager, I've had the unfortunate requirement of conversations with teammates that think that they're underpaid, and I've had to use these tools to say, "Hey, you're actually overpaid for
you're
what we
actually
ask
more.
of you."
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know,
Hmm.
be careful where you're going with this conversation. You know what I mean? What's
That
up?
that's true because I've been a part of conversations as well where there were two people in the same role,
Hmm.
One was high performing, but they didn't have a degree or a high performer. The other was just like that. They did a decent job. They did, but they didn't go above and beyond. They never stayed late. They never did that. But the one with the degree was like complaining to me as their manager, like, I have a degree. Why don't I make as much as so and so who has the high school diploma and this and that? Like, was your work, if your work,
Yep.
if you applied yourself, you did better, then we could probably.
Yeah. All these. This is all valid, right? We gotta. I think again, why that's why we preach invest in yourself,
Yes,
right?
sir.
If it, and don't this makes me think of as far as wages and stuff and being unhappy with it. Don't get caught up in I need to make this amount of money, so my job must pay it to me. No,
Yeah,
they're only
yeah,
going to pay you a fair wage based on those analytics, where you are, what you're doing, and what you bring to the
yep,
table. You know what I mean? If you took a low paying job and you needed more money, then that's the issue you have. You have to correct for that. The job,
yes,
your
sir.
company is not necessarily responsible for correcting for that. Now, hey, if you're at a
Yeah,
big company and you can grow within, then you got to grow, but try
yeah,
not to get caught in that mindset of my money is messed up, so my company has to help me. No, that's not the right way to look at it right now. If they can, great, you can try. I'm not saying, hey, you shouldn't go ask for a raise or you shouldn't go try and again, be part of that feedback loop. But don't get caught in that piece where it's I need this, I need to make X amount, I have to make this because of what, because of your bills. But you picking, so yeah, that's all. I just
mm,
warn against that
that,
part.
that may be like an episode or a safe
Yeah.
talk segment
Say it. Yeah.
conversation.
Yep.
So
That could be.
something to
Yeah.
remember.
A notable trend is the increase in compensation budgets, with projections indicating an average salary increase and budget growth of 4.6% in 2023. So, to my point, companies are trying to make up this gap for us. But again, and that's the highest it's been in over 15 years. So think about that. But again, it's not their job to close the gap, period. Or let me rephrase, they also have to do a business. They also need to stay in business. So they're not going to do it to their detriment, right?
Yeah, because the thing to think about is just even though the business has its own separate bills to pay from from the bills we have to pay as a personal in our personal lives or as an employee,
Yep.
the inflation impacts them as well.
Absolutely,
Especially
because they're
depending
paying, right. Yeah.
especially depending on the nature of the business that it is,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I think about restaurants right away. And I remember when I went to a restaurant right after the pandemic, or maybe even, yeah, probably like right after, because we weren't going to restaurants a lot.
Yeah.
This one restaurant put a note up at every table, and it was just like, please forgive us as we navigate these high prices. That's you
Oh,
see high.
jeez.
Yeah, they were like, hey, you may see higher prices on your menu because it's costing us more to get. And it was like chicken wings is this spot that I go to with my son, and wings and things. And it was
Yeah.
like, hey, our chicken wings went up a few dollars, the thing, and it's because the trucking and the gas and the drivers and and all that.
Mm.
Employers are working to meet employee expectations around inflation and maintain competitiveness by making pay adjustments. They're addressing the pay equity of things and pay
And
compression issues like Walt just mentioned. Additionally, market adjustments for in demand fields are being made to retain talent. If you're in that field, that technology, AI, or whatever the in demand field is, go look at that. That's where you can make some more money. What's up?
perfect. That's exactly what I was gonna say. That you
Oh,
can go make some more money. No,
yeah.
you can go make some more money. So think about it. AI is going to impact the workforce like in a major way. So some people are going to have to change their careers. It's going to be a forced change. So why not go ahead now, for you who are listening, go ahead now and see if there's something else that you want to do, especially with technology or AI. Teach yourself something, educate yourself on something, and
Yep.
hey, put yourself out there so you can get
Yep.
the money that you're looking for or you feel that you
Yes.
deserve. And because you may be able to find a balance where you want to work at the level of you want to exert at the level of work that you want to exert at
Yep.
and make the money that you want to make. You may be able to
Yep.
find a balance with that by learning a
Yeah.
different skill. So just food for thought.
Absolutely. Yep, and specifically, if it look for those in-demand fields out there, and they change. So I don't know them off the top of my head, and but it's definitely easily searchable and researched. Think about that. If you're not happy with your wages, you can think about career change right now. We as HR and payroll professionals have been putting more of a highlight this year on the payroll profession because we're an aging group. There's a stat that came out this last year by ADP that 80% of payroll folks that are processing payroll right now are over 40. And that's a little scary for us. 80%. There's only 20% that are under 40. So that means we don't have enough people to hand the baton off to. And
Mhm.
we need young folks. And other industries are suffering the same way, right? It was like CPAs and accounting. The accounting industry is suffering also. I know construction is suffering big time from not having the
Mhm.
young folks get into it. Um, and yeah, there's a bunch of them, but payroll is also one of them. And payroll can be an amazing career. If you look at our show, this season 8 of It's About Payroll, everywhere you hear listen to podcasts and on YouTube, we are talk every show we're asking these professionals like, hey, what would you tell payroll folks? What would you tell payroll folks? What would you tell young folks to get into payroll? It can be a whole
Yeah.
career. You can see the world. It's exciting. You're hit with different type of things. um
Mhm.
yeah, just if you're interested in changing careers, payroll is definitely one you should look into. And there is no required degree. There is a certification that's very obtainable
Mhm.
and it's very inexpensive to obtain. The barriers, the things you need to get into payroll are fairly easy. The job is not easy, but you can get into it
Yeah.
fairly easily, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's great, man. Yeah.
without
Thank
getting
you for bringing
too
that step
bogged
up, man.
down. Yeah, exactly. Without We actually had a story, a different focus for this show, and we'll still talk about it. It's a cool, not cool, but we like to bring up these again warnings on cybercrime. Am I starting this off, Walt, or
Yeah. You go ahead. Yep.
you want me to start it? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Basically, there's an article out there that you'll find in the show notes. It's United Health Groups got hit by a cyber attack. And three key points from this article is that Change Healthcare, a major US healthcare technology company, experienced a cyber attack on Friday, February 21st, causing disruptions to its systems and services. The company swiftly responded by disconnecting its systems to prevent further impact. Good, emphasizing the protection of partners and patients. So there's a hospital system. So you got HIPAA, you got all kind of personal PI involved.
Yep.
The incident could have significant repercussions across the healthcare sector due to
Mhm.
Optum's wide ranging services. The
Yeah.
American Hospital Association advises affected organizations to consider disconnecting from Optum until it's deemed safe to reconnect while also urging preparation of downtime procedures and contingency plans. If you're a hospital system that is using Optum, then go read this article to look at the best practices out there. If you're a hospital system, period, you should go and check this out because there are some recommendations for healthcare organizations, including testing the network security,
Yep.
ensuring immutable data backups, in
Yep.
patching critical vulnerabilities, reviewing and testing cyber incident response plans, which I'm sure nobody even has yet, and designating
Yeah.
clinical downtime coaches to ensure the continuation of safe and quality care in the event of a technology loss. This is also called business continuity or disaster recovery, right?
Yes,
When we say
sir.
disaster recovery and business continuity, we're referring to what happens it covers everything from this to a snowstorm, a blizzard, a hurricane, weather, a building catching fire. Like what happens when you can't get to your data or your data is what is that compromised, right? And you have to shut everything down. You got to turn your computer off, right? Think
Yeah.
about your job. If you use a computer but you can't to do your job, how would you do your job?
Yeah.
So
No.
that's what business continuity is, and Walt's going to take us through a little bit more on this article.
Yeah. So I don't have much. Brian covered the gist of everything, but this outage that was caused by the cyber attack on Change Healthcare, they said it could last weeks
Wow,
to fix.
dang,
So
that's crazy.
that's what a top United Health executive suggested in a news conference a couple of days or weeks ago when this occurred. The chief operating officer said that the company is setting up a loan program to help providers who can't submit insurance claims while the change is offline. So this looks like they're doing stuff to try to help those people, which is a big deal. And I think
Yep.
rightfully so, because who knows what information got taken out. But according to Forbes, Change Healthcare blames this group called Black Cat for the cyber attack. Black Cat is also known as Alpha or Alpha 5 or Alpha V, whatever that is, or Noberus. They are a ransomware group that uses ransomware as a service model.
Wow.
In this model, developers create ransomware and affiliates use it to identify and attack high
That's
value
crazy.
institutions.
No, the
I've never
cyber
heard
attackers are organized, bro. Yep.
yeah, ransomware as a service.
All right. Instead of SaaS, is
Yep.
oh my gosh. Yo,
Yep.
that's crazy. That's nuts. They're
Mhm.
getting look. This is the new organized crime.
Yeah.
Cyber attack.
What?
This is the new
Yeah, man.
organized crime. Yeah.
Yep.
So we
It's
gotta be careful. We gotta, it may be worth an investing. I think what VPN service is recommended, and the what is that LifeLock, the LifeLock
LifeLock,
service.
all those
That's a
different
brand
things.
name. LifeLock is a brand name, but a lot of financial services offer that function, the protecting your identity, basically, right?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
VPN is secures your home network so that you're logging in and out of your home network securely.
Yep.
Um, but these are additional costs. You got to think about that. You got to see if you can afford it. But it may be becoming one of those things that you can't afford not to have it, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's folks. We just got to be careful because again, the more we digitize our life, the more it becomes risk to these black cat groups of cyber
Yeah.
attackers who are
Yeah. Because
clearly
think of it. Yeah.
organizing to really attack. Yeah.
Yeah, this cyber attack, from what I read, they said that some of the financial problems that it caused for providers, for insurance providers, is the lack of not being able to receive reimbursements from their insurers or
Mm,
for the people. So for the people, you know how you have to submit a claim and then
mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm.
may pay for it now, but then you submit it to your insurer and then
Yep.
you
You get
get that money
reimbursed.
back.
Yeah.
So that is preventing that from happening.
Wow.
So a lot of people may have paid for something now. Okay, I'm going to get this money back later, but now this has caused a little delay in that, which is why they said that they had to get those loans to help cover those things for those people because they're trying to do right by them. And they said that for a lot of the mid-sized practices, that this has caused them to, either for the smaller and mid-sized practices, it's caused them to make difficult decisions about how to stay afloat because some of them are dependent on that money too. So some of them
Wow.
may have had to close their doors because of this cyber attack.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's that sucks, man. It sucks. And look, insurance is gonna drive up. If you might want to sell a cyber attack insurance, that might be a
So
growing industry.
that might be smart because
Yeah.
AI is going to help us and everything, but don't think for 1 second that these hackers and these groups aren't going to utilize AI to their
Oh yeah, heck
uh,
yeah.
benefit as well.
That yep. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely using it. That's why it's ramping up. But Walt found a stat that by next year it'll be like $10 trillion business, cyber, the black market of it all. If you considered hackers as a business, it would be a ten
Hmm.
trillion dollar business. That's serious. So, and it's been growing. Anywho, look out, folks. Stay aware. Pay attention to cybersecurity because it's definitely going to be more important to us all going forward, especially our paychecks. Is that everybody gets direct deposit and we get our W-2s online and all this stuff, and we want to need to safeguard that stuff. Yeah,
So yeah,
look.
to your point, that you can look that up. Cybersecurity Ventures did that stat. They said, to your point, that it's going to raise by next year to 10.5 trillion, and that's a significant increase from the 3 trillion that it was just 9 years ago in 2015.
As we near the end of this episode, we'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for listening. Before we sign off, here are a couple quick things. Don't forget to follow It's About Payroll on LinkedIn and It's About Your Paycheck on Facebook and TikTok. We love engaging with our audience, and you'll be able to receive exclusive updates and behind the scenes content. Thank you for being a part of our payroll community, and thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.
And the AI has a huge part of that. And that's that, folks. This last segment is our safe talk segment, and I'm glad it circles back to wage compression because it
Yeah.
turned out to be more of a topic than we thought. And really, this part of the show is we're just a little bit more informal about the thoughts on wage
Yeah.
compression is what it is, and is it good or evil? Right? Is it good or evil? Is it good that your coworker that just started is making more than you, or not? And I think Walt nailed it with the feedback part. You really have to stay a part of the conversation. You got to stay informed so that because hopefully it's being done for a reason. Hopefully, if you become part of that feedback
Mm,
and you go to your boss and HR and you're like, why is this happening? That they could really explain it. Look, the market is really tough for your position right now, or period. Because think about it too. If depending on how they answer you, if they tell me that, if they say, oh, the market is really tough for my position, oh, then that means you got to match my salary. Because if
yep.
not, I'm just gonna go to the next one to again, unless you're really comfortable where you are, then and you don't want
Yeah.
to leave, then that gives you the ammo though to negotiate a increase.
Yeah.
But at least or they say, or like we said earlier, it's because this person is bringing something to the table that you don't have yet, or it
Yeah.
just is what it is, right? Could be, hey, you could be in this job and don't have a degree for 10 years. This person's coming in with a master's. I got to give them a little bit more money. You want to get more
Yep.
money? Get a master's. You know what I
Get a
mean?
master's, get a
You
certification,
know,
do
yeah,
something.
whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
arbitrary. I just made that up as
Yeah.
an example because
Yeah.
if we're being real, Google just hired their first developer with no college degree.
Yes, sir.
So the landscape is even changing for that, right? There
Yep.
are some
Yep.
jobs. Ours is one of them. I just said it. If you want to get into payroll, you don't need a college degree. It's a preference because if you've been
Yep.
doing it for, if you get an entry level, if you get a little bit of experience and you can get certified, boom, you become more highly wanted right there. And if you ever listen to the other show, often the folks that we interview are more like me than Walt. Walt actually picked payroll as a job in the Navy, right? But that's different. You were going
Yeah.
into the Navy, so you're the rare cases where he chose it,
Yeah.
whereas s- most of us fall into it somehow or just indirectly get in. And for me, it was just something I did for my family business. And when graduated college and I was trying to get that first real corporate job. I just had my first daughter, and it was like, oh man,
Hmm.
I got to grow up now and get a real job. I needed benefit, everything, the
Yeah.
serious. I just happened to have payroll on my resume because I cut some checks for my brother. It was like, ooh. So thank God I had the skill set to keep the job, but I had to fake it
Yeah.
till I made it. And
Yeah.
it
No,
was an
I
entry
get it,
level
bro.
job anyway. But yeah, again, I just was like, oh yeah, sure, I could do payroll.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, now what do you think? Well,
Going the safe talk topic.
yep,
Thoughts on wage
good or
compression? Is it
evil?
good
Wage
or evil?
repression is it good or evil?
Obviously, I would say if I had to choose, just make a definitive decision between it being good or bad.
Hmm.
Obviously, wage compression, the way, especially with the way that it may impact your job turnover, and it may cause you to lose those high performing people that you have had before. Then that in that way, it's bad, right? If I
Okay.
had to choose between good or bad, right, it's obviously I lean more towards the bad side of it, or the evil side of it, as we use that here,
Mhm.
and that it because it won't help in the end, right? But we as the employees, this show is about it giving empowerment to you as the employee. You have to have the conversation with your employer.
Yep.
You have to hold your employer
Yes. Good.
accountable.
Oh,
You
perfect.
have to do that. So yes, while it's not good,
Yep.
you can either change that or you can just go with status quo. That's how I
Yep.
feel about it.
Yeah. That perfectly said. Perfectly said, man.
Yep.
On on that note, the next show is, can an employer deduct your whole paycheck? Can employers for any reason just say, "Oh, you owe us. We overpaid you. We're going to take it back on your next paycheck"? I don't know.
Mm,
Stay tuned for the next episode. You'll find out.
yes.
All
All right, man.
right. We love you, folks. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.